This is the Global News Podcast from the BBC World Service. I'm Valerie Sanderson, and these are our main stories on Friday, the 21st of August. Weather experts warn that a developing El Niño event could become the largest in living memory. Imran Khan, Pakistan's former Prime Minister, is returned to jail after being taken to hospital. Also in this podcast, the true story of a man who cycled from India to Europe for love is turned into a film. It seems every week another report is released about extreme weather and the increasingly worrying state of the climate. Today is no exception. Scientists are now warning that the El Niño weather event developing over the Pacific Ocean is likely to be the strongest in living memory. Professor Adam Scaife is head of long-range forecasting for Britain's Met Office, which released the latest data.
I've been involved in long-range forecasting for many years, and I have never seen an event like this in our forecasts. The tropical Pacific is warming faster than I've ever seen, and assuming the forecasts are correct, and we've got very high confidence at this stage, the El Niño is very slow developing, it takes many months, so we're pretty confident about the outcome. We think that when it peaks in November and December, it's likely to be a record event, unprecedented beyond anything we've seen in living memory.
I heard more from our environment correspondent, Matt McGrath.
This current El Niño was only declared just over 2 months ago in June, and that declaration means the temperatures in the water have reached 0.5 degrees above the long-term average. Now, that's gone from that to 2 degrees in a couple of months. It's likely to go higher to at least 3 degrees according to the Met Office, maybe 4 degrees according to other forecasts. Those are significant increases in temperatures, and if you look at what's driving it, there's heat down in the water, perhaps 8 degrees above the long-term average deep in the waters of the Pacific. So that's an awful lot of heat that could come out of and will come out of the ocean and will have impacts all around the world.
A lot of people listening to this, Matt, are going to think, why is El Niño itself so important? What does this system actually do?
Yeah, what it does really is disrupt the weather patterns and the weather systems that we've all gotten used to around the world. So the monsoon, for instance, the increase of heat, the increase of change in the winds that's caused by the rise of heat in the Pacific, that increases the chance of a very low monsoon, which affects millions and millions of people. You'll also see different aspects of it as well. So you get flooding in some places. We've already seen reports in Peru, which is right in the path of El Niño, right close to it, of getting increased floods in the last couple of weeks. We've seen the Panama Canal declare that they're going to cut the number of ships because they're being affected by a drought. So each and every area around the world, particularly around the tropical belt of the world, is hugely affected, from Indonesia to Australia, all around that central bit. But other parts of the world are affected as well. And we're likely to see the biggest overall impact, which is our new record global temperature next year. That will be directly linked, I think, to the added heat that El Niño will push into the atmosphere.
And what about the impact of the people living in some of those places that you mentioned, like Australia, Peru and Ecuador?
Yeah, this is, this is really where the rubber meets the road with the El Niño idea. It's great to talk about it as something that's happening in the world, but it really impacts people. So there's increased threats of floods in various places, increased threats of drought in places like Indonesia, which will affect the crops they grow there, which will affect palm oil, which is included in so many products around the world and likely drive the prices of basic products and cosmetics up. So it'll impact people's income and impact their ability to buy food. So as well as the flooding and the droughts and these horrible direct impacts, there will be these other impacts in terms of the potential food shortages, and an extra, according to the World Meteorological Organization, an extra 50 million people pushed into food insecurity by the end of next year. That's a considerable number, a considerable impact.
I mean, this is a simplistic question, but can anything be done?
I don't think there's anything that can be done directly. And people often talk about these events as being linked to climate change. And this is one of those events that's a natural event, but it occurs in a much warmer world. It's not directly linked to climate change. So us cutting back our fossil fuels and our emissions aren't going to directly impact El Niño, but it's happening in a much warmer world. And if it wasn't happening in such a warm world, it may not have such a direct impact. The floods, the droughts might not be as strong. So I don't think there's anything we can do except bear it, be aware of it, listen to the forecast, be aware of what's happening in the world. But stopping it, I'm afraid, it's a natural event. It happens every 2 to 7 years, and we've been having these for almost 1,000 years.
We heard there from Matt about the growing threat from El Niño. Indian consumers are already feeling the impact with the skyrocketing price of sugar. Now the Indian authorities have approved duty-free imports of raw sugar to bolster local supplies. Our India business correspondent Archana Shukla is following this in Mumbai. I asked her, will these measures be enough to satisfy the demand for sugar in the country?
They are hoping that with additional supplies coming in, the prices will start easing, which have gone up by more than 40% here in the local markets. They're retailing at just over half $1 per kilo. And with the festive season coming up, we have a long period of festivals with the Shera, Diwali, and then the wedding season. That's a period when the demand for sweets actually goes up quite a lot. And that is the period when the government hopes that this supply would help. It wouldn't have been this big a problem if the cropping season was normal. But because of the El Niño impact, there have been erratic rain patterns and the sugarcane crop has been hurt. And the spare capacity that India has normally is now being directed to ethanol-based fuels. So the supply actually is crunched from both sides. And that is pushing the government to import first time in a decade. And that definitely will also have impact globally, because remember, India is the largest producer of sugar. It's also the second largest producer of sugar and second largest producer of exporter. And this is happening at a time when, other hub exports like Brazil and Europe are also seeing impacts on the sugar crop production. And, I was checking earlier in the morning, international prices of sugar has already started ticking up with news that India would be importing now rather than exporting.
And Achana, tell us about other ways that Indian consumers might be affected by El Niño.
Well, across different aspects in our lives, this time in summer, we saw some of the most intense nighttime heat for people. The demand for, power went up, for cooling, for air conditioning went up. It also impacted people's sleep patterns, their work life. And the biggest impact is now coming on food with erratic rains. And we know India's, majority of the farms here in India are rain fed. And, with the monsoon being delayed, monsoon being erratic, it's affecting crops, not just sugarcane, but also rice, wheat, the entire monsoon cropping season, and it's hitting food prices. We've seen some of our kitchen staples becoming very expensive from the grains, from vegetables, and that's a direct hit on household budgets. Then we are looking at, water reservoirs, at very low capacities at this point in time. Everybody's looking at the monsoon to kind of fill in, otherwise, water for drinking water purposes and even for winter crop, it could be a problem.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has renewed his appeal for more Patriot missile interceptors after further Russian attacks this week. The Patriots are Ukraine's main defence against incoming Russian missiles, but supplies have been significantly depleted, in part because of the war between the US, Israel and Iran. Our defence correspondent Jonathan Beale reports.
It is the silver bullet. The US-made Patriot interceptor, the most effective way of taking down a ballistic missile. It doesn't come cheap. Each missile costs around £3 million, and it's now in short supply.
We need to shoot down Russian missiles. Be with us until the end.
Ukraine's all but run out of them. The last time it recorded an intercept of a Russian ballistic missile was August the 1st. America's war in Iran's only made the situation worse. A global dearth of the most effective weapon against ballistic strikes. Though at last month's NATO summit, President Trump appeared to offer Ukraine a solution.
We'll give them the right to make Patriots. We'll show them how to do it. It's very complex, actually, but it's you'll figure out the complexity quickly.
But just weeks later, he rode back, putting any agreement in doubt. He said it'd be hard to give away the technology. The US currently produces around 600 Patriot missiles a year. Before the war in Iran, the US was believed to have stockpiles of more than 2,000. But during the war in Iran, within a matter of months, those stockpiles have more than halved. The US is now believed to have around 800 interceptors left. Contrast that with Ukraine. It's received about 600 Patriot interceptors over the entire 4.5 years of Russia's war. The US does plan to ramp up production to 2,000 missiles a year, but that'll take years. Patriots will still be in short supply.
In all likelihood, the Ukrainians are going to have to cope with the reality of Patriot interceptors being quite scarce.
Because?
Because there simply is not enough capacity in terms of available stockpiles in Europe to provide it to them, and because the US will probably prioritize other things, not least of all rebuilding its own magazines.
Meanwhile, Russia's ramping up its production of its ballistic missiles. It's now making around 100 a month. Europe has been developing its own solution based on its Aster missile. It's now working on a joint interceptor program with Ukraine, but it still can't fill the void left by scarce US Patriot missiles.
Still to come in this podcast, reports that Prince Harry's wife Meghan may return to the acting world.
Everyone was asking, well, what is Meghan going to be doing? Is she keen on returning to royal life, or what will her career look like in the UK?
Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan is back in prison after being taken to hospital amid reports that he was unwell. His lawyers say he's practically blind in one eye. But on Friday morning, doctors at the hospital deemed him medically fit. Mr. Khan has been held in prison for 3 years on corruption charges, which he says are politically motivated. A short while ago, Imran Khan's sister, who'd been present at the hospital, spoke to reporters.
They only examined Imran Khan's eyes. No blood tests or any other medical examinations were conducted. Apart from that, only Imran Khan's blood pressure was measured and no other tests were performed.
I got more from our correspondent Caroline Davis, who's in Islamabad.
While the authorities have said that he is medically fit, his family too have said that he is also fit and healthy as an individual, although they are concerned about some of the things that were raised in a medical report about him, including an increased level of blood pressure, anxiety, palpitations. And a lot of this, they say, as well as being treated with medicine, could be improved with more visits by family to go and see Imran Khan in prison. Over the course of the last few months, he has not been able to see family come to visit him. We've also heard from family abroad, from his son, saying that they've not been able to speak to him on the phone as often as they feel like they should be allowed to be able to do. So that is part of the backdrop, and his family have said that if that was allowed too, that anxiety and that blood pressure might also improve as well. And in particular, his sister had said that the fact that he has not been able to see people, the fact that he says he's not been able to get reading materials, that he's not been able to watch TV, this is all according to her recital of what she spoke to Imran Khan about. He says that amounts to some form of torture against him, that he's being put in that position. Now, previously, when the authorities have been asked about why Imran Khan has not been having these visits with his family members, they have said that during the course of those visits he talked about politics and that was against the prison rules. What we have often seen is after he had visits with particularly family members or maybe lawyers, that there would be statements that would come out on Imran Khan's social media. Sometimes those would be comments that were calling, sort of call to arms for political action, calling to giving direction to the political party, and occasionally also insults, particularly to the head of the armed forces here in Pakistan. Of course, the military here in Pakistan is very politically powerful. And there had previously been sort of insults directed towards the head of the armed forces, Field Marshal Asim Munir. So many people saw a link between those two things and the fact that those meetings had been stopped. Now, the other thing to bear in mind with all of this background is that, yes, this is also about Imran Khan's health, but it's also about the timing of this. Now, in the course of the last 3 years, Imran Khan has been in prison. His lawyers have continued to fight in the courts, but they've been given relatively little relief through the court system. And the announcement that he was to be allowed to go to hospital to have these medical checks was being seen by some people as an indication that was giving some form of relief, the most significant relief he might have received in the course of the last 3 years, which led some people to ask why and why now. Of course, his political party have talked about the fact that this is just about going through the court system, but lots of other people believe that there might have been some form of discussions going on behind the scenes between Imran Khan's political party and the military. Of course, neither side have commented or confirmed anything to do with that. So this is all still speculation, but a lot of different threads going on here in Pakistan, all surrounding Imran Khan.
This morning's headlines here in Britain are dominated by the news that Prince Harry and his family are returning to the UK after 6 years in the US. And reports in Australia say that his wife Meghan has been offered an acting role here, which sources close to the family have not denied. Bronte Coy is senior entertainment and royal correspondent at the Australian outlet news.com.au, which broke the story.
This is such a key part of the puzzle, and I think when we all heard that news that Harry and Meghan were moving here and within a matter of days and the kids were enrolled in school, everyone was asking, well, what is Meghan going to be doing? Is she keen on returning to royal life, or what will her career look like in the UK? And I think this here answers a lot of that now. I had heard rumours that potentially she'd be stepping into the acting world a little bit more. We saw a sign of that actually late last year when it emerged that she had filmed a cameo as herself in a big upcoming movie with Jack Quaid and Lily Collins. But this is obviously a massive step now back into that direction. And again, this is clearly part of why they've decided now to relocate over here with the kids, because either she has signed or is about to sign on for this project. I'm told it's significant and she's very excited about it.
A new film, The Cycle of Love, focusing on the discrimination people can face because of India's caste system, has premiered in the US. It tells the true life story of PK, a street artist from the marginalised Dalit caste who cycled more than 9,000 kilometres from India to Europe to try to reunite with his true love Lotta from Sweden. About 200 million people in India are Dalits, historically known as untouchables, who face generations of discrimination and exclusion. Our culture correspondent Noor Nanji spoke to Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who executive produced the movie, and its director Orlando von Einsiedel, and asked them what the real-life PK and Lotta think about the film.
I have heard of this story like 15 years ago or so. It was super famous in India. There was a Hindi film that was going to be made about it. And I just remember being so fascinated that, like, how does someone do that? You know, just the psychology behind it. So when the movie came my way, I was like, yes, this is going to be part of my company, because it's such a beautiful story. And I think Orlando's rendition of it, with both Chirag and Meena playing Lotta and PK, it just transports you to what that journey would have been like over 5 months, you know, driving across so many countries, meeting strangers, and just knowing that your North Star is this person. And the fact that they've been married 50 years and their kids are producing this movie, I mean, are you kidding? It's like, I was just blown away by every aspect of it. So I'm very, very proud that, you know, they brought me on and to partner with this movie. I'm very excited about it.
Priyanka, at the heart of this film is the treatment of the Dalits, historically known as the untouchables. Do you think that attitudes are changing quickly enough in India towards people of different castes?
I think conversations when it comes to film and having conversations and telling stories like PK, I think as filmmakers gives us the ability to be able to have a point of view in conversations that are really required. So I'm really happy that, you know, having PK as the central protagonist in this movie and telling his real life hero story will help probably move the conversation in the right direction.
And Orlando, how did the real-life PK, a street artist from India, and Lotta, the Swedish tourist, react when they first saw the film?
Well, we were very lucky because PK and Lotta were with us on the entire shoot.
They were on set.
So,
but still seeing it put together for the first time, like, what did they?
Well, I think one of the things that makes me feel that maybe we got it right is when this film's played at film festivals, PK and Lotta have come and they've watched every single screening of the film. And sometimes that's 5 or 6 screenings, which is amazing.
Cute together, like, you meet them and you're like, wow, you know, this is a love story with a happy ending because you're still together and you're still cute. Like, they're still like, they hold hands and they're affectionate. And I'm like, I want that after 50 years, you know, it's amazing.
And that's it for this edition of the Global News Podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, our contact details are below. I'm Valerie Sanderson. For the moment, goodbye, thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.